Hey there everyone, and welcome to Bill's Retro Gaming Show. Well, today's video comes with a warning. If you don't want the rest of this year and parts of next year spoiled for you on what's coming from Arcade1up, you might want to turn the video off right now. Otherwise, stay tuned because boy have I got some info for you. Alright, everyone still with me? Cool. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscription button. Click the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I put up a new video. Give this one a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you want to be part of the conversation. So, as I alluded to at the start of this video, it looks like I may have been able to get my hands on some potential releases for next year and what's coming out for the end of this year. Now, I'm going to start off with the end of 2023, but before I dive into all of the stuff for 2024, I want to stress something here. Now, what I'm going to be talking about right now is a potential list of upcoming machines from Arcade1up for 2024. Now, it is my understanding that this is an ever-growing, ever-changing list. This is the list that is, as it stands right now. We may see some of these, we may see all of these, we may see none of these, because they're always changing this. I have a funny feeling that a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is stuff that Arcade1up is just kind of thinking about. They may even prototype some of these, but never actually bring them to market. So take this list with a grain of salt, but understand that this is an actual list of machines that Arcade1up is at least considering for next year. But let's start with 2023 because we're about 2/3 of the way through the year. We've seen a bunch of stuff from them this year, mostly rehashes. Really, again, the only new stuff that we've gotten is Fast and the Furious and Time Crisis, which should, some people have actually started to get, but is really, scheduled to come out sometime in October. What more can we possibly expect for the end of the year? Well, if you were hoping for something brand new or that big new 80s title that they talked about, you're going to be a little bit disappointed because you're not going to see that. Not this year, at least. But let's talk about what we are going to see. All right, so like I said, we're about 2/3 of the way through 2023. We've got 4 months left to the year. And a lot of us have been speculating on what could possibly come out before the end of the year. Now, Arcade1up just dumped 3 new machines on us: the Time Crisis, the Atari 50th, and the Galaga Deluxe. So we know those are coming within the next couple of weeks. Time Crisis, again, already in the hands of some people. So now, of course, things turn to what's next. Well, here's what I'm hearing, and that it's not much. If you guys were expecting that big 80s title to come before the end of the year, you're going to be disappointed because that's not coming this year, but it could be one of the ones on the list for next year. So as of right now, this is what my understanding is for the end of this year. And first off, you see here, I've got Star Wars Pinball up. Now, Star Wars Pinball looks like it's going to get an official re-release, but what I'm hearing is that it may be a reskin of the Pinball, and it may be a Costco exclusive, just like the PacMan XL that just came out. So it looks like Arcade1up may have a deal going on with Costco where they're throwing them a few exclusives. Like I said, they've already gotten the PacMan XL. It looks like they may be getting this Star Wars, and it might wind up being a reskin. Other than that, I think it's going to be the exact same Star Wars Pinball that we've already seen. Now, beyond that, my understanding is that there are 2 more 3/4 machines coming out before the end of the year, and 1 Party Cade. Now, I believe I know what one of the 3/4 ones is, and the Party Cade, just not sure what the last one is. But let's talk about the first 3/4 machine that's coming out before the end of the year. Now, I know a lot of you remember that earlier this year at CES, that's when Arcade1up first announced the new deluxe cabs that would be coming out throughout this year. And one of the ones that they announced was Ms PacMan. Well, Ms PacMan kind of fell off the radar throughout the year. It came off of their website, and some people thought it might be canceled. Some people also thought that it might just be delayed to make room for the class of '81 and not conflict with that. Well, it looks like Ms. PacMan is back on the list, and this is going to be one of the ones coming out before the end of the year. But my understanding is that this is not what it's ultimately going to look like. Now, this, of course, is a real Ms. PacMan arcade, but what I wanted to show here is the black coloring of the Ms. PacMan. Now, Arcade1up did release a 3/4 Ms. PacMan in a black skin last year with riser. It looks like the deluxe cab that they're going to be is going to be that one, but in the deluxe format. So instead of being that blue color like the one they showed at CES, it's going to be the black Ms. PacMan that we're seeing here. Now again, supposedly there is one other 3/4 machine coming out before the end of the year. That one, I'm not sure what it is. That one I haven't heard yet exactly which one it's going to be. But supposedly one more Partycade is also coming, and unfortunately it's just going to be another Pac-Man Partycade. So we'll have to wait and see. Apparently Arcade1up is going to be doing another one of their That One Up shows later on today, where they're going to be talking about the Atari 50th. Now, could they bring up the Ms. PacMan Deluxe, the Pac-Man Partycade, and whatever this last 3/4 machine is during that show? It's a possibility. We'll just have to wait and see. But that looks like it's going to do it for the end of 2023. Now, we're looking ahead to 2024. And I gotta tell you, gotten my hands on a list that looks very, very interesting. Now, again, I really do want to preface that supposedly this is an ever-changing list. This is stuff that Arcade1up is considering. Again, we could see some of this, we could see all of this, we could see none of this next year. We just have to wait and see how things go. But it's a very interesting list. I think you guys are going to be really surprised by some of the things that are on it. Let's dive in and let's talk about it. Now, I will tell you that some of the things on this list come as a big surprise to me, and some of them not so much. So again, that may kind of lend credibility to what we actually do see and what we don't see. And one of the first ones that I saw on the list was track and field. Now, track and field has been rumored for the last year or two, including a stool that wound up showing up on Walmart's website, a placeholder for a stool actually, for track and field, leading to a lot of speculation that Arcade1up was considering this. Now it looks like it's back on the table, and they are still considering bringing a track and field machine out in the 3/4 scale. Now, again, what other games might come on this? I did a list a while back, a kind of a wish list for a track and field cab for sports games from Konami, and I think there's a good possibility that some of those might wind up on a machine like this if Arcade1up decides to go that route. But track and field is one of the ones that's being considered for next year. Now, another one that I think isn't going to be a big surprise to people is this. And of course, this is Smash TV. Now, Smash TV, Robotron, Total Carnage, those have been rumored and speculated for a while now. I know a lot of people would love to see a Smash TV / Robotron, Robotron / Smash TV, whichever skin they decide to go with. I'm hearing it's going to be Smash TV, but there is a really good possibility that this might be the big one that we see next year from them. And again, if this is true, I think this is probably going to be a 3-game cab. I think this is probably going to be Smash TV, Robotron, and Total Carnage. Not sure what other midway games fit the mold of these particular machines, but for sure, I would think those 3 will probably be on this, and I think a lot of people would be really happy to see this come from Arcade1up. Now, after the release of Time Crisis, a lot of people are wondering what could be the next gun game coming out from Arcade1up, and will they do one next year? Well, as of right now, what I'm hearing is yes, and that game is going to be Lethal Enforcers from Konami. Lethal Enforcers originally came out in the arcades around 1994, and I think this is probably another good one that they could wind up doing. Now, what else will be included on a Lethal Enforcers cap? Well, of course, you have Lethal Enforcers 2, which also came out around 1994, and Lethal Enforcers 3, that I believe came out closer to 2004. That one, I don't know, that one might be a little bit too much for an Arcade1up PCB to do, but could they also bring the Police 911 games to a cab like this? Hopefully there will be more than 2 or 3 games on it, especially if it's going to be around the same price as Time Crisis. But again, we'll have to see. But as of right now, it looks like Lethal Enforcers is one of the light gun games that they are considering for next year. Now, here's one that I found really interesting. And of course, this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, Arcade1up has obviously already released a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. They've actually released it twice now, with the original Ninja Turtles and Turtles 2, Turtles in Time on it. Now, supposedly, Ninja Turtles is going to get another re-release next year, but they're calling it the Cowabunga Collection. Now, what exactly that means, I'm not 100% sure. Could that mean that they're going to bring some of the console games to a Ninja Turtles arcade? You know, like the Cowabunga Collection that's released on consoles, like they've just done with the Atari 50th that has 50 different Atari 2600 games. Could this even mean that Shredder's Revenge is going to be included as an arcade game for the first time? And I think a lot of people would love to see a Ninja Turtles re-release and to have it include Shredder's Revenge. Now, I know a lot of people would also love to see this in XL. As of right now, I'm not hearing this as an XL. I'm hearing it as a 3/4. My guess is probably deluxe. My guess is, just so you guys know, probably all of these are going to be deluxe format. I think the risers are pretty much done, other than, you know, some of the Walmart specials like we saw this year for them, where they make special versions without the risers. But I think this is going to be a deluxe format. It's not going to be XL. And like I said, they're calling it the Cowabunga Collection. So I think at the very least, we might actually see Shredder's Revenge make it to a Ninja Turtles cab if this winds up actually coming out next year. All right, everyone still with me? If you are, say uh-huh, because we're about to get into some really interesting games here on this list. And the first one is this one. This is Aliens vs. Predator. Now, here's what I'm hearing based on this list, is that they want to bring Alien vs. Predator out, but they want to do it in a big blue format. Now, we all know Aliens vs. Predator is a very interesting license, because not only was it developed by Capcom, but the Aliens and the Predator are licensed from Fox, which of course is now owned by Disney. So what other games could possibly be on this cab? Well, a number of years ago, Capcom did release a Capcom arcade stick that had Aliens vs. Predator and a bunch of games on it. That was pre-Disney with Fox. So, you know, the licensing may be a little bit different now. Who knows? You know, what else could they possibly put on this? Again, Arcade1up has said they don't want to release any cabs that are just single games. So I'm hoping that if they wind up bringing an Alien vs. Predator out, that if they do bring it in a big blue, that it's got more games on it. We'll just have to wait and see which ones they could possibly be, and if this actually does see the light of day. And that leads to another one that a lot of people have been clamoring for a very long time. This, of course, is Street Fighter Alpha, but what I'm hearing is that they are looking at doing a mix of Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter Alpha in another Capcom Legacy style cab. Again, what other games could be involved? I don't know. You've got several iterations of Street Fighter 3. You've got several iterations of Street Fighter Alpha, Alpha 2, Alpha 3. So odds are that a bunch of those will be on this cab, and probably several other Capcom games, whether they're fighters, whether they're beat 'em ups, whether they're shooters, whatever. Hopefully, if they wind up doing this, that they go in a route that's somewhat different from some of the other ones that they've done, and we get some more new games on it. Now, I think a lot of people would be very happy just with the Street Fighter 3 and Street Fighter Alpha games, but, you know, hopefully there won't be too many other rehashes on it, and we'll have to see what kind of form factor this comes in. Again, thinking this is probably going to be deluxe. I don't think this is going to be big blue. I think they're saving the big blue for if they actually do Aliens vs. Predator. But again, this is one of the ones that they are considering. Now, here's one that I think is not only very interesting, but I got to be honest, and I'd be surprised if this makes it out of the prototype stage, because I think this is just a really interesting one, but I don't know what else they could put on it. Again, some of you guys in the chat, if they do 720, what other games do you think they could put on it? But this here, obviously, is 720, this skater game. Always a very unique looking cab. So how they could replicate this, I'm not sure. You know, that boom box on top is really kind of cool. The way that the monitor is tilted and everything would be very interesting if they find a way to replicate this. But 720 is on the list of ones they are considering. So let me know what you guys think about that. So far, everything I've touched on are 3/4 scale of machines. None of these are listed as Pro. None of these are listed as XL. None of them are actually listed as deluxe, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they probably are going to be in that deluxe format. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is a very different format, but if they actually do wind up bringing it out, I think it would be really interesting. So what you're looking at here is a game called PacMan Royale. This is a 4-player Pac-Man game where up to 4 different people can play against each other in a game of Pac-Man. It's a lot of fun if you've ever seen this in the arcade, if you've ever been out with a group of people and play this. This is a really cool game. Now, how Arcade1up could do this, I'm not sure. My guess is they will probably bring this out in a cocktail style cab. Probably won't include that big, this big sign on it like this. It will probably be just the cocktail table part of it. But if they wind up doing this, I think it would be really cool. Now, I will tell you this, I would love to see them do this in more of a pub table style. I have the Pong pub table. I think it's really neat. I think it's a really cool form factor. If they wind up going this route, another pub table would be really cool. But my guess is if they actually do wind up bringing PacMan Royale, that it will probably be in a cocktail table format. But, Pac-Man being the big seller that it is, I think this one's got a lot of potential, could actually wind up coming out. All right, everyone, if you stuck with me this far, hang on, because I've got just a couple more to go over, and these are going to be the upcoming XL cabs. Now, a lot of people, again, have been wondering what Arcade1up is going to do in terms of XL next year. Arcade1up has been teasing that they will be bringing out more XLs for next year than we've seen before, and if this list holds true, you're going to be happy and disappointed at the same time, because yes, it is more XLs than we've seen from them in a year, but probably not as many as people would like. What I'm seeing right now is 4 different machines listed as XLs that are potentials for next year. 2 of them are re-releases in XL, and 2 of them are brand new games that have not come out in even 3 quarters, but will be brought out as XLs. Now, the first 2, I think, are going to be no surprise to anybody, and of course, we're looking here at Marvel vs. Capcom. My understanding is that they will be bringing the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 out in the XL format. And of course, another one that people have been wanting to see in XL format is Star Wars. Star Wars, of course, being so popular when it was first released that they did a re-release at the end of last year for this machine. Now, I own that one. I love it. I think it's awesome. But it looks like we might actually even see this one come out in XL. And it'll be the same one that we've already gotten, just in that XL format. Hopefully with a bigger screen. Maybe they'll change the yoke, although I think the yoke is actually pretty good on it. Not totally sure what we'll see from this, but Star Wars XL and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 XL are the 2 re-releases that I'm hearing about coming out next year in the XL format. Now, this one I think is going to be a little bit of a surprise to some people, maybe not to others, because there's been a lot of speculation about Arcade1up having some kind of a deal with SNK Neo Geo for a while now. And now the thing that I'm hearing is that they want to bring the quote-unquote Big Red Neo Geo out, but they're planning on doing it in an XL format. Now, what SNK games could be on this, I'm not really sure. There was a lot of speculation in the past about King of Fighters and some of those type of games being on the list from Arcade1up. So are those the ones that we could see in this Big Red XL format? I don't know, there's a lot to draw on from Neo Geo. Hopefully there will be a goodly amount of games on here. Hopefully it'll be a little different from the MSX one that came out from Unico a few years back. We'll just have to wait and see. But what I'm understanding right now from the list is that the quote-unquote Big Red Neo Geo from SNK is coming in XL format next year from Arcade1up. And last but not least, we have this. This is, of course, OffRoad. Now, what I'm hearing is that they want to bring out OffRoad in an XL format. And yes, they want to do it with the 3 steering wheels like you see in this real arcade version here. Now, if they can pull this off, I think this would be really exciting. I think if you're going to do this, you kind of have to do it in an XL because it needs to be a bigger control panel to fit those 3 steering wheels. But I know, again, this is one that a lot of people have been asking for from Arcade1up. So supposedly, it's one that's on the list and one that they are seriously considering, and they want to do it in that Excel format for 2024. So, what did you think of that list? Now, so I've stated a few times, where I got this list, I was told that this is an ever-evolving, ever-changing list, and that this is just the list of games as it stands right now. Again, we could see all of these, we could see some of these, we could see none of these. We'll just have to wait and see what Arcade1up actually winds up doing next year. But if at least a few of these do wind up coming out next year, I think there's a lot to be excited about for people who are interested in Arcade1up. After a year of pretty much nothing but rehashes, to have a list that's full of a lot of new games and things we haven't seen from them before could be very exciting. So we'll just have to wait and see what direction Arcade1up actually winds up going in next year. But if this is the list that winds up coming out, I think people are going to be really excited about it. Now, again, we've all heard the hashtag Get Loud. I'm not going to sit here and say, you should use that. You should get out there and let Arcade1up know which of these you want to see, all of these you want to see. But you know what? Take this list, make your voice known. If these are things that you think Arcade1up should be doing, maybe they need to hear that, because I think some of these on this list, like, 720, is really kind of a very niche game. I don't know what else they could put on it. It's a unique form factor. So, will that ever wind up getting out of a prototype stage? I don't know. Do they think they can sell enough? I don't know. That's always the bottom line, is can they sell enough to make it worth making the machine? If they think they can, they will. So, let your voice be heard. That's all I'm going to say on that, all right? But that is going to do it for this. I think this video has definitely been long enough going through this whole list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, leave me a comment below and let me know your thoughts on these games. That's going to do it for this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Hope you have a great day. Take care.